Hello Boston Movie Review, my name is Timothy McClaskey, and this is another movie pitch. We start off in an Asian market. There's food being sold on sticks, there's illegal stuff stolen off of trucks, stuff coming in from boats from other countries that probably shouldn't be in here. This is where you go for your black market illegal stuff. And we're focusing on three men in suits, Asian men. One of them, the lead guy, his name is Lee, and he has a handcuffed suitcase attached to him so that it can't be removed from him. And they're walking through this market, they're very suspicious, everybody's looking at them. They turn down an alley, and as they're walking down the alley, Lee starts feeling on the bricks. One of the bricks gives way a little bit. He nods to the other two guys that are with him, and they enter a doorway that opened up. It's a secret passage. That secret passage leads to another steel door, which is then opened up, and they enter what turns out to be a Yakuza drug manufacturing warehouse. The guys walk in, they're looking around, there's chemical barrels everywhere with flammable materials that are being used to make drug compounds. There's armed guards everywhere, all Yakuza guys looking very dangerous. And the people that are manufacturing the product are these young Asian girls that have just their underwear on and a mask because they can't steal and they can't breathe in the product. And there's even a 10-year-old kid sitting there next to her. And the guys start to realize that what's happening is she's packing giant bricks of heroin into backpacks. And these kids are going to take the backpacks, and that's how they move the materials on the street. The Yakuza uses the kids because the police won't check children. So now Lee and his two bodyguards are here. Lee's still strapped to his suitcase, and he wants to talk to the main guy. The main guy is Jin. His name is Jin. The guards bring him past parts of the complex, and they go to these giant, ornate Chinese doors that open up into some room that looks like it would be in Mortal Kombat or something. And sitting at this giant table is Jin. He's got that long, thin mustache. He just looks like a villain. And he's surrounded by a bunch of armed guards. Lee is pissed off. He says to Jin, look, we made a deal about this, but it was harder to acquire than we thought. We're going to have to change the terms. And Jin just starts laughing. He's like, I agree with you. I think we should change the terms. Instead of just taking the suitcase, I might take your arm as well. So Lee starts to get nervous. The Jin guy starts giving his whole master plan villain shit. And while this is happening, two of the Yakuza guards grab Lee's bodyguards and slit their throats. Another Yakuza guard grabs Lee, slams him down on the table and spreads his arm out, while another man holds a katana blade over his hand, ready to cut it off at the wrist so they can get into that suitcase. While this is happening, Jin is laughing. He thinks it's hilarious that this guy's going to lose his arm, his life, and then whatever prize he was bringing for him. And as he's bragging and shitting on him, Lee looks over at the young kid that was there to pick up the bag of heroin. And he winks at him. The young kid nods. He lights the wick on this gasoline container, and then it starts to blow up all of these chemical barrels. Everybody is in chaos right now. Jin is dead on the ground with three of his bodyguards. The women that were packing the heroin are running out as fast as they can to the door. All the Yakuza guys are either injured or gave up at this point. And now Lee is lying on the ground bleeding out. And he looks at this kid, and he says, I love you. But you have to go. I'm not important. The suitcase is what's important. You have to get it out of here. You have to bring it to the shop. Bring it to the shop. Get out of here. And he's pushing him. And the sprinkler system comes on and he's screaming, you need to leave now. It's too late. You gotta leave. You gotta leave. And the young kid, he comes to his senses and he leaves. And he's able to get through the fire and the flames. He's soaking wet. He's trying to protect the heroin. He's trying to protect the suitcase. He's trying to protect himself. And he's losing his mind upset because he obviously cared about the guy that just lost his arm and then his life. We fade to black. And then as we fade back into a scene, we see this young, tired kid. He's wet. He's dirty. He has a human arm wrapped around in a trash bag to hide it. And he's walking down a main street in Chinatown. And he comes to a pawn shop. He's got the suitcase and Lee's arm wrapped in a trash bag to hide it. And he walks into the pawn shop. And when he gets in there, there's an old man who looks at him and says, where's your father? And the kid just breaks down crying and he says, Dad's dead. And the old man kind of seems like he saw that coming, but he's definitely devastated by this information. And he's almost hesitant to ask because he feels so guilty. Do you have the case? And the kid said, yeah, it got a little wet, but I have it. And the guy gets very nervous. And he grabs the case and he opens it up. And we hear this song. Because inside is a Mogwai. And it's Gizmo. And this is how Gizmo got to the shop before Gremlins started. We just did the prequel to Gremlins. Oh shit!